Alrighty then. It's now been 24 hours and we have our jar of starter, and as you can see, there's my mark. It hasn't done anything. Inside looks the same. Smells like wet flour, just like it did yesterday. But not to worry. If you look close, you can see a few bubbles in there. So it's starting to think about waking up. It just hasn't fully done it yet. So a lot of places will say, you got to feed it now, you got to throw some away now, whatever. What I found out, I stir it up. Just mix it up to say, hey, come on, we're waiting on you. So, basically, like I said, you just stir it and wait. If it's not bubbling, it's not ready to be fed. So you just got to wait on it. And from all my experience on this, it'll take another 12 to 24 hours and then it'll be kicking and ready to cook with, and your starter will be done and ready. So anyways, like I say, I don't waste it. I keep a hold of that. Alright. So anyways, stir it up, put the lid back on. You're still marked where you started, and when it starts kicking in, I'll give you a little update on it. Alright, later. Alright, getting back to this sourdough thing. I've actually skipped a day. This is now day 3, so 60, what would that be, 60, 72 hours later from when we started. And if you can look in here, oh, there we are. You're seeing the bubbles starting. We had, this is in the winter time, December, middle of December. We had a cold front come through, dropped into the single digits. And so my kitchen was a little colder, so that's why it's a little longer. Now if you also look inside, you'll see, where is it? There's a little bubble in there. Right, it should be about right there. I can't even see it from here, but anyways, there's a bubble starting in the inside. And you can see some bubbles bubbling up. So anyways, it's getting there. Like I said, the temperature makes a huge difference, not the time. So anyways, I'm going to put the lid back on. I actually moved it over near the wood stove so it gets a little cooler, or warmer, duh. And so anyways, we'll check on it in a little bit. The mark, it is just barely starting to rise above that mark right there where we started. So it is getting ready to, oh, sorry. That mark right there, starting to rise up above that just a little bit. So it's starting to be active. So as soon as we get a full-blown active, I'll show you what that looks like. And like I said, once again, don't worry about time. When it's ready, it's ready. Alright, we now have sourdough starter. After waiting for a while, you can see my mark where we started. And then if you look, you can see clear up here all around this jar where that sourdough starter rose overnight. I did not sit up all night watching it. I went to bed. Anyways, so you look at you can see all the bubbles. This is after it has risen and come back down. So now it's time to feed this thing. So anyways, that's what we'll show next. Well, in a second here, I'll show you what the thickness looks like. Look, I don't know, yeah, you can see inside somewhat. It's kind of bubbly and oozy and lots of fun. Okay, so then you stir it up. Yeah. It's bubbly, it's oozy. It's nice. So anyways, we'll move on to the next process right now. So I'm going to change the camera angle and we'll show you how we feed and go from there. All right. So I got my starter all stirred up. What we want to do now, like I say, this is taking a few days. Sometimes it all depends on your temperature. If we didn't have that cold snap and my kitchen temperature didn't drop, you know, normally sometimes I get around an 80-degree kitchen, which is perfect, but it doesn't always happen that way. So anyways, we just let her rise until you get that bubbly good thing. Now what I'm doing is I'm, quote, discarding starter. I don't like to throw it away, so I will save it and use it in something. All right. Now, doesn't show like there's lots of starter in there, and I'm probably got more than I need in there. So I know from weighing this jar empty, the jar weighs about 435 grams. So what I want to do is add that 25 grams. So I usually try to go somewhere around the 480, which right now I've got 486, which isn't bad. I'm going to take just a hair more out there just to show you that it really doesn't take much once this thing gets active. There, we're at 470. So that's 35 grams of starter. It's a good way to go. Alright, so we got 35 grams of starter. Now, like I say, I zero this out. I put 50 grams of wheat flour. There's 50 right on. And then I do zero it out again. And I put 50 grams of rye, dark rye flour. $49. Oh, come on. I'd normally call that good, but since I'm doing this on camera, we'll go right for the 50. Alright, and then, of course, your 95 degree water. And like I said before, it calls for, technically you should have 100 grams, but like I said, my experience usually says about 130. There's 103. We'll see how that works, because you want to go with the consistency versus the amount. We'll stir it up. I usually scrape down the sides of the jar just to make sure that all that good starter is down in there and ready to go to work. Yeah, that's really, really thick. So anyways, let's add another about 30 grams. Like I say, it's been really consistent, about 30 grams extra. There's 29. And when you do this, you want to make sure that all the dry in the bottom of the jar is mixed in, so you don't have any dry spots in there. We talk about dry, this thing is still dry. So just add a little more. There we go. That's looking better now. Like I say, consistency between pancake batter and peanut butter. I'm going to give it just a hair more. There we go. That's the way I like it. As you can see, the consistency, like a really warm, thin peanut butter or a thick pancake dough. So I mix it up. Of course, not wasting any. I don't know, my folks grew up in the Depression. You didn't waste anything then. They passed that on to me, and I sure have a hard time with anybody wasting stuff, especially food. So anyways, scrape this jar down so everything gets used that's in there. There we go. Alright, now we're back to where we started, except now instead of a yeast that we're waiting to activate, now we have active yeast that we're working with. So now I want to do, I don't know what I do with my lid now. Anyways, there's a lid. Oh, there it is over there. You put the lid on, let her set. And in a few hours, not days, few hours, you will notice the bubbles start. Look back over here again, we have our mark, which is pretty consistent all the time where the mark is and the level. So anyways, you'll start seeing that rise, you'll start seeing the bubbles. I'll try to catch it and show you how these bubbles work or how they rise, whatever. And we'll see if we can catch it going all the way. It should do that during the day today. The kitchen's pretty warm. It's warmed back up into the mid-30s. It's supposed to get into the 40s today, so this might work. Might work well today. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch up to you soon. Okay, so now a lot of you are asking yourself, what do you do with this starter? Well, we know this is an active starter because we just got it out of the jar. So now what I've found is that's enough. You can usually make out of that, you can expand on that and make about 10 loaves of bread. out of that little bit of starter. So we're going to go on and keep working with this series a little bit, show you what to do, how to do this next. With this starter, you can make pancakes out of it. You can make fritters. Maybe you got some extra apples, you could slice them up and mix them in with this. Add a little cinnamon or whatever, some spices if you'd like. Mix it all up, a little bit of flour to thicken it up. Drop it into some hot oil on the stove and cook yourself some breakfast fritters. Good job there. Pancakes, you can mix a little bit of flour, some of this, put some baking soda, baking powder. They'll lighten up really fast that way. And you can have pancakes for breakfast if you do this, feeding your starter in the mornings. So all sorts of options. What I'm going to do is start a new series about baking and starting the process as you're baking using this starter. So anyways, keep an eye out for that too, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.